All right. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Brian Kaysen. For those of you that don't know me, I am the founder and CEO of the Management Pro Academy. It is, we believe, the most comprehensive leadership skills training available in the markets today. We've been very fortunate to take approximately now close to 1,000 managers through the academy. And it's just been very special to hear the feedback and the response to that program. And we continue to develop that. We continue to add to it and try to bring you more content each and every time. And so that's a little bit about me. I spent 15 years in the corporate world before stepping out and doing what I love most, and that is equipping leaders for success. Our mission here at the Management Pro Academy is to equip and empower leaders for success. And so that's really what this is all about. And so, as I mentioned, we're in uncharted times here. This is definitely different. I know a lot of you that are leaders and managers and supervisors. You have been managing your people in-house, face-to-face, and now you are experiencing a new challenge, and that is, how do we manage people remotely? That people are currently in quarantine due to the COVID-19 pandemic. They're working from home, but we still have business to attend to, right? And so we have things to get done. And so the question becomes, how do we do that? How do we manage people remotely when we're used to managing them face-to-face? Now, for a lot of you, this may be old hat, if you will. This may be nothing new for you. The last statistic I heard, I think Gallup said that this would be pre-pandemic, 43% of U.S. employees worked from home. That's a pretty good number. I mean, if you think about that, almost half of people already worked from home. So a lot of you have been managing people remotely already. And so again, this may be nothing new to you, but for a lot of you, this is a whole new world. This is something that you have never experienced. You're used to managing your people, again, on a day-to-day basis by being able to touch them, see them, really sense how they're feeling and how they're doing and what they're struggling with. And now we're faced with this challenge of being able to still manage, still be able to be effective, but being able to do that remotely. So listen, it's all up to you. For those of you that my Management Pro alumni here will tell you that my favorite saying is that, and it's a quote by John Maxwell, my mentor, and that is, everything rises and falls on leadership. And that's you. And so this time is no different. The success of your team and your organization is going to be dependent on your ability to continue to do business the best of your ability, doing it remotely, getting your people to still perform and produce while working from home. Now, what are the numbers right now? Well, I haven't really seen anything officially. I can tell you that I was on the phone a couple of last week with one of our executive coaching clients. She is a C-suite executive for a company that employs over 1,000 people, and they currently have, I think she said, 850 plus people working from home. So that would tell you that 85%, probably 90% of people are working from home. So we definitely have to figure this out, right? Like, we got to figure out how to still be productive. And that's what I want to share with you today. I want to go over 3 things, and this is going to be a very quick training, but I want to talk about what are the benefits of employees working from home. What's in it for them, right? Because we want our people to be happy. We want them to be productive. And so we need to understand what's in it for them. So I want to talk about 3 benefits of working from home. I'm also going to talk about what are 3 challenges that your people face when working from home. Because if we can understand those, then we can understand how to create an environment and a system and a protocol that will allow them to overcome those challenges. And then finally, I want to share with you the 5 key things that you must do as a leader in order to effectively manage your people remotely. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Let's talk about it. So what is it? What are some of the benefits of working from home for your people? If you've never worked from home, again, it's a different feel, right? But there are some benefits, and a lot of reason that there's a segment of people that really enjoy working from home. They like the flexibility and all those different things that come with it. Studies have shown, especially the millennial generation, they prefer the autonomy of being able to work from home. And so a lot of people that haven't done that are going to all of a sudden realize that they enjoy this because there are some benefits. Number one benefit of working from home is individualization. It's the ability to be yourself, right? To not be in the political corporate structure of the house that they go to work every day. They're able to create an environment that is conducive to their own work personality. We all have a different personality. We all work differently. And being able to work from home allows us the ability to individualize that, to create that environment to where we feel productive, whatever that may be. It's different for everybody. But again, it's the ability to create that autonomy, to be able to create that individualization, to create the environment yourself. Whether you enjoy working, you've created a space in your home that's your home office, or you work from your kitchen table or from the couch. Like, people are different, but again, it gives you the flexibility to be able to do that. So that's number one. Number two is just that. That's the flexibility to be able to work around schedules. Now, this is a very, interesting situation that we find ourselves in now, because most people are quarantined, right? But we still have kids that we're homeschooling. We still have things that need to get done around the house, the daily activities. And so there is still a schedule that has to be worked around. And again, working from home, ideally gives you that flexibility to be able to do those things, to take a break, to go and help the kids with their homework and then come back to your work, or go, do the laundry or whatever it is, but being able to be flexible and work around that and still get things done. So that's definitely a benefit of working from home. And then the last thing I think is, and what draws most people to working from home, is the independence, the freedom, right? To be able to choose when, where, and how they get their work done. And so it creates a real growth opportunity for people. Now, again, I'll tell you that working from home is not for everybody. As a matter of fact, to be completely transparent with you, I'm one of those. I have a hard time working from home. Now, I run a business that I don't have a corporate office, if you will, but I've had to go out and rent an office for myself at times, just so that I have a place to get up, get out of the house, and go to work to. But right now I don't have that option, right? I can't go to my office. I'm here in my house. So I have to adapt. And that's what we have to do during these times. So again, these are great things for your people. The individualization, the flexibility, the independence, all those will be attractive to a lot of people, and your people enjoy working from home. Now, with that comes some really difficult challenges at times, if you will, but they are isolation. This is probably one of the biggest challenges for people. They feel alone. They don't feel that connection. And if you are familiar with personality types, for those of you for my Academy folks, we talk a lot about personality profile, and we talk about DISC profiles. That's the particular profile assessment that I refer to most. But people are different, and personalities are different. And for example, in the DISC personality, the high I personality, which is the relational person, the person that is social, these people need that interaction. They need that human touch, if you will. And so working from home can be a big challenge for them, because they don't get to see their friends. They don't get to, walk in the office every morning and say, hey, what happened this weekend? Or how are you guys doing? Or how are the kids? And so they miss that. And so they feel isolated. They feel like they're on an island by themselves. And we'll talk here in a minute how to overcome that. But again, isolation is one of those challenges that people face and feel when working from home. Another one is really distraction. This is a big one, and really the hardest one for when it comes to productivity. There are a lot of distractions in a home environment, right? Especially right now. I'm sure before we're done here, I'm going to have kids come through that door right over there and fight because they're fighting or arguing over something, or a dog's going to bark or something's going to happen, right? There's just distraction. If you're like me, I have ADD, and so I get distracted very easily. And so that's my biggest challenge. And so that's why, for example, that I have an office off-site so that I can go and not be distracted. It helps me with my productivity. But we'll talk about things to do to try to eliminate some of those distractions. The last one is direction. There are people that need that constant oversight and direction when it comes to their work environment. They need to know, what am I supposed to be doing right now? What do I need to do next? And so being away or remote is a real challenge for people when it comes to that. They lack clarity, and they don't know what to do or when to do it. And so it's really about being able to make sure that people have clarity while working from home, that they have direction. And that really leads me into our 5 keys to managing remote employees. I want to share these with you. These are just 5 very simple things that you need to make sure that you're doing in order to make sure that your people are effective, that they're productive while working from home, until we can get back to, I guess, what we would call normal and people come back to the office. So let's get into these 5 keys. Here we go. Number 1, set clear expectations, or you can put /goals, right? So whatever their productivity expectations are. I always challenge people to set expectations around the metrics that matter for you and your people, whatever those are. If you're in sales, it's around sales. If you're in IT, maybe it's around, projects that you're trying to get accomplished, whatever it may be. But set clear expectations, because with clarity comes certainty, which produces the highest level of productivity. So make sure that you are clear in your communication, that people know what is expected of them while working from home. What are they expected to produce? What are they expected to do? Here are a few questions that you need to make sure that you're asking yourself and making sure that your people know. Number 1, under setting clear expectations is, what should or needs to get done? Whether that's on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, whatever time frame you're using for your accountability, which we'll get into in a minute, but make sure that they know what needs to get done. Number 2, when it needs to get done by, right? They need to know, when do I need to have this done? Number 3, how it needs to get done. What do you expect from them as far as how they need to do their work and be productive? And then the last thing is, who is needed in order to get this done? In other words, is it just them, or is it a team effort or a group effort or whatever it may be? But again, guys, you have to set clear expectations. People have to know what is expected of them. So make sure that's first and foremost. Number 2, not only do you need to set clear expectations, but you have to provide people with a game plan. A game plan is the how-tos, right? This is the step-by-step process for people to be productive. And this is part of our, what we call the empowerment coaching model. When we teach people how to coach employees, we help people set goals and game plans. And we do this through a process called Huddle, which is the ability to get together. And you can still do this remotely, but the ability to help people provide a game plan. Here's a quote that I'm kind of known by, and it's this: the more specific the game plan, the more predictable the outcome will be, right? Let me say that again. The more predictable, or the more specific the game plan, the more predictable the outcome will be. So a person's game plan must answer the questions who, when, where, how, why, all of those, so that every day again, they wake up, they go to their little home office, or they get in their quiet place, whatever it is, wherever they work from home, and they know exactly what they're supposed to do today. This eliminates that distraction, that procrastination, hey, well, let me just get on Facebook for a few minutes and check things out, or let me watch CNN or Fox News to see what's going on with the COVID-19 situation. We don't want to do that. So we want to make sure that in order for our people to be productive, that each and every day they have a game plan. This is where the empowerment to be productive comes from. So make sure that your people have that game plan and that they know exactly what they're doing each and every day. All right. So now, as we go through this, questions may come up. So let me encourage you to do this. If you have a question, just type it in the chat. I have someone on my team in the other room that will be compiling these questions, and at the end, we'll take a few minutes to try to answer some of your questions. So no matter which platform you're on, whether you're with us on Facebook, Zoom, or YouTube, again, just go ahead and write your questions in the chat, and we'll try to get to them at the end. All right? So number one, set clear expectations or goals for people. Number two, provide a specific game plan for them to operate out of. And number three is communicate, 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 right? I can't emphasize this enough. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you a quick story. So last week, I believe, last week or the week before, I can't remember now, but I was doing an executive coaching call with a C-suite executive who works for an organization that has over 1,000 employees. And she was telling me, I was asking her, I said, well, tell me what you've learned, or what have been some of the benefits that you've seen from working with your people remotely now that everybody's in quarantine. She had all but one of her team members that was working in the office. And it was something interesting. Here's what she said. She goes, Brian, I realized that I had not been communicating enough, which is something that in our coaching sessions I had been challenging her with, was to communicate more with her people. Now, this was pre-pandemic. This was when people were in her office each and every day. And it's something that most leaders, quite frankly, don't do enough of. They don't communicate with their people frequently enough. They sit behind their desk doing their day-to-day activities. And quite frankly, the higher up that you are in an organization, the more challenging it is to communicate with the people on a one-on-one basis each and every day. But you got to be intentional about it. But this is what the feedback she gave me. She said, I realized that now that I'm communicating more frequently with my people, that they really like that. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. People love to be communicated with. And now is more than ever the time to communicate, and communicate frequently, whether that's, once a day, twice a day, every other day, whatever your protocol needs to be. But I can tell you this, whatever it was prior to people working from home, it needs to be a lot more now. Because again, when we communicate with them, when they're working remotely, we overcome those challenges that they face, that isolation, the direction, all of those things only happens through communication. Now, the question becomes, how do we do that? What's the best way to communicate with people remotely? Well, thanks to technology, there are a myriad, quite frankly, probably too many options available out there. Now, the obvious is we can communicate audio, video, or written, right? Those are really the three main streams of communication that we have access to. Of course, audio is very simple. It's a simple phone call, communication through, just very simple, audible communication, but you're not seeing. There's not that visual connection. Now, with technology, we have the ability to video conference, FaceTime, whatever you're using. We have that ability. And then there are a lot of tools. And one of the questions I've been getting is, what tools should we be using? And my answer is always the same: whichever one works best for you, right? There are, let's see, Slack, ASICS, GitHub, Zoom, you know, gosh, you name it. GoToMeeting. I mean, on and on and on. So pick the one that works best for your situation. A lot of you have in-house, you know, video conferencing capabilities already in place. You have group, you know, chats. You have all this technology available. You have to find the one, and you have to experiment with this a little bit. You may have to try different things, kind of like we're doing here today. We're on 3 different streaming platforms. But again, try different things. Figure out what works best for you, okay? And so, again, pick the tool. But, again, the main thing when it comes to communication is, number one, you got to know your people. For example, back to my personality types. When you're communicating, for example, with a high D personality, this is someone whose you know preferred communication style is very direct. We teach this in our Management Pro Academy workshop on effective communication. You have to be very direct in your communication. So make sure that, if, for example, if you hold a video conference meeting, that for those people, you have to make sure that you get to the point, right? That there's not a lot of social time for you know, just talking and chatting. You have to make sure it's organized. People aren't talking over each other, that they understand the rules of engagement on video conferencing, and those type of things. For the high I's, you have to have that. They love video conferencing because they love the connection. That's what they need. And so if you have a team of high I's, the majority of your communication style needs to be video conferencing, right? For your high, you know, C's in the disc, you have to make sure that you stay on track, that you stick to facts and numbers and those type of things. But again, you just got to know your audience, know your team, and what works best for them. But the main thing is communicate, and communicate more, no matter what it is. And so use the tool that works best for you. I'll give you a quick example. I have several sales teams that I coach, and we utilize Voxer as a tool. And the reason that we use Voxer is because it's instant audible communication. You can also do video, and you can do text or written, right? And so I love that. And it's you don't have to create groups or anything like that. It's everybody's art. You put them in group one time, and everybody gets the same message. So again, pick the tool that works best for you, but communicate. That's number 3. So we got set clear expectations, provide a game plan, and communicate effectively. Number 4 is you have to create a system of accountability. A system of accountability. Now, again, when you hear the word accountability, people start freaking out, right? They think it's micromanagement and those type of things. Again, that's not what we're talking about. Again, if you've set expectations and you help people create a game plan, then you have to create a system that holds them accountable to accomplish the things that you've set forth for them, right? So you need to make sure that you're checking in, whether they're providing reports back to you or the communication is providing this accountability, whatever it is, make sure that you are providing that accountability. Now, there are 3 areas that I teach people to make sure that you're holding people accountable to. And this goes for whether you're in person or working with people remotely. Number 1 is actions. You need to hold people accountable for their actions. Now, this is the how people are getting things done, right? This is the process that they're working in. This is the methods that they use to get things done. So you need to make sure that your people, especially when they're working remotely, because again, there's not that physical oversight. So people will start to get really creative in the way that they do things. Now, there's not a problem with that. And quite frankly, it could be people could come up with new ways to do things, more effective ways to do things. That's great. But the problem and the reason you have to have this system of accountability is because people start taking shortcuts, right? They start figuring out a way to skip a step here and still get the job done, but we sacrifice maybe the quantity or the quality to do that. So again, if you create a system of accountability around the actions or the methods that people are using to be productive, then we don't have to worry about that happening. Number 2 is people's attitudes, right? Now, this is today, especially more important than ever, that we create a system of accountability around people's attitudes or their emotions, right? People's emotions are really high right now. The feelings that people are having could be defined as scared or unknown or, afraid. I mean, use whatever adjective you want, but people are having some real emotions right now. And we need to make sure that we're staying on top of that. We're holding people accountable to stay positive, to keep a bright outlook on things, if you will, so they can maintain productivity. Here's one thing that we know: a negative attitude produces low productivity, no matter what you're doing. And so we got to make sure that we create that system of accountability around that. And then number 3 is, of course, the accomplishments, the results, the productivity. You have to maintain that accountability around that. Now, whatever the metrics that matter to you and your team, that's what you want to create that system of accountability around. Now, this can be done in different ways. I'll give you an example. Back to the sales team that I coach, we have what we call a huddle call every Monday morning, and it's an accountability call. They have to tell me exactly what they did the week before, their actions, their attitudes, and their activity, their results. And we do that, and they know that. And so every Monday, they're prepared to tell. And again, they don't want to get on that call and have to mention that they didn't get or hit their goal or whatever it may be. So again, you can't lose sight of accountability during these times. That's my challenge to each and every one of you. All right. And as we start to wrap up, let me give you the 5th thing. So just to recap, number 1, set clear expectations for people. Remember, frustration is a result of unmet expectations. If people don't know what you expect from them, not only are you going to be frustrated, but they're going to be frustrated. Number 2, provide a game plan. The more specific the game plan, the more predictable the outcome. Number 3, communicate. Do it effectively based on your team's personality. Number 4, create that system of accountability around actions, attitudes, and accomplishments. And the last thing, provide people with feedback, coaching, whatever you want to call it. But let people know how they're doing, right? You got to provide that for people. And if people aren't accomplishing the results that you have set forth or that they've set for themselves, then you need to help them. And there's going to be some of your people that are used to working in an office, in a structured environment, that are productive in that environment, that are not in a remote environment. And you're going to have to figure out why. And so one of the jobs as a manager is to help people overcome what we call constraints, limiting beliefs, roadblocks, whatever, things that hold them back from being productive. And the question is always, if you're not being productive, if you're not accomplishing your goals, whatever it may be, if not, why? Why are we not doing that? And you have to ask your people those questions. You have to figure out why they're struggling, what's challenging them from working from home, and help them overcome that, right? Being able to overcome these constraints and beliefs. And I don't have time today to go into that coaching process. We actually teach, there's 6 steps to that process, and being able to coach people effectively to overcome these constraints, these limiting beliefs that they have. But again, if nothing else, make sure that you're providing people with constructive feedback that will help them grow and develop, even during these times when they're working remotely. All right. So those are the 5 keys to managing remote employees. Very simple, but just like everything else, things that are simple to do are also simple not to do. And in the last, 2 to 3 weeks, I've talked to a lot of managers, and these are the things that they're not doing. And quite frankly, these are the things that will allow you and your team to continue to be productive and successful during these times, forever, however long they last. And then lastly, it'll help you be a better manager. Even when things return to normal, even when you go back to work, if you keep these things in mind, they'll help you be more successful. Now, before I take some questions, let me just end with 2 words of encouragement for you, if you will. number one is, guys, be patient. Be patient with people, especially those people that are not used to working from home and they're struggling with it right now. You're going to have to be patient with them. But again, if you'll create this environment with these 5 keys that I just shared with you, it will help them move forward faster and help them get through it. But again, you're going to have to be patient with people. I know it's tough right now. You know, we've got the pressure of still, you know, being productive while quote unquote business is shut down. You know, profits still have to be done. Sales still have to happen. Projects have to get done still. And in most cases anyway. And so again, be patient with your people. Number 2, and quite frankly, probably most importantly, guys, celebrate your team's victories or your wins. People have to know that things are going to be okay, that we're still being productive, that we're still getting the job done. And so you have to be intentional about celebrating those victories with people. Gather everybody together, whether it's on a scheduled, you know, group video conference, or throw one together impromptu and say, hey gang, I just want to let everybody know that this happened, or we got this done. I just want to say great job, and those things. And then here's a little add-on for you. And I just thought of this because I had a friend of mine, I actually noticed it on one of the social media platforms. He had posted a picture of a box, and it was a decorative box, and on the top of it, it said, see if I can remember this, it said, work from home survival kit. It just was a picture of that. And so I started reading his text and his post, and here's what he said. He said, love the company I work for. They just sent me this, you know, work from home survival kit. Absolutely blown away. That's all it said. So I reached out to him and I said, hey man, will you share with me what was in that box? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And so inside the, you know, work from home survival kit that they mailed to him was 3 toys, 3 small toys for kids, because he has 3 children. And it had I think it was 2 king-size Reese's peanut butter cups, 2 packages, and a Dr. Pepper, canned Dr. Pepper. And I'm like, why? Why wasn't that? He says, Brian, I have 3 kids, as you know. And so they gave them 3 toys for the kids to play with, because we all know that working from home, kids can be a distraction, right? So the company made sure that his kids had something to play with so that he could be working and be productive. And then lastly, I said, well, why the Reese's and the Dr. Pepper? He says, because every day when I was at work, I would go and I would, after lunch, about 2 or 3 o'clock, when I hit my wall, I lost all my energy, I would have a couple of Reese's peanut butter cups and some Dr. Pepper. That got me through the day. And I was like, wow, that's powerful. And here's the moral of that story is, do you know your people that well? Like, do you really know them? Now, I'm not saying you have to send them a survival kit, although it's a great idea, I think. But again, do that. Like, send them something, or let them know, or send them a picture on email, just letting them know that you know them personally. Because remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And during these times, as leaders, as managers, first and foremost, we have to care about our people. All right. And so anyway, just a little tidbit for you. Thought that was a great idea from a company that was being very innovative during some difficult times. All right. So we got just a few minutes left. Let me see. They handed me some questions here. Let me see what we've got. Mary asked, how do you make your team members feel valued? Well, that example I just gave you is a great way, right? To make people feel valued. But again, it doesn't have to be that. A simple phone call to let people know, hey, I noticed, you know, how much you got done yesterday, or whatever it is, and I just want to let you know how much I appreciate it. You can't differentiate appreciation from value. When you appreciate people, you value them. So again, just let people know that you do appreciate them. All right, let's see here. Devin, hey buddy. Hey, Devin asked, how do you get people engaged in virtual meetings? Great question. There's a YouTube video out there somewhere that talks about doing conference calls, and it's very hilarious. But how do you keep people engaged doing virtual meetings? Well, first of all, video should be more conducive to engagement than audio, because when they're on audio, they can just press mute and go off, and you don't know if they're engaged or not. But so I would encourage you to use video as much as possible. But again, we actually have a training on how to conduct effective meetings, and here's one of the things that we talk about is, personalities are different, and there are people that are introverts and there's people that are extroverts, right? And so people that, if they were in a meeting in your facility, that probably walk into meetings and they rarely say anything, or they rarely get engaged in person, they're definitely going to be the same way virtually, if not more so, right? And so we got to make sure that we are engaging people. So asking questions of them, hey, what do you think about that? Or whatever that may be. So make sure that you are doing that. And then, again, just making sure you're using the right tools, all right? Let's see, another question. Susan asked, is it necessary to utilize video for all communication? Well, great question, but I'm not all communication. If it's just something real quick and easy, it's not needed. Again, I've been harping on video, but it doesn't have to be that way for all communication, but just make sure that you utilize the best form of communication. All right. Let me find one more here, then we will wrap up. How do you do? Ashlyn asked, how do you ensure team synergy during these times? Oh, Ashlyn, great question. So getting people to have that camaraderie, that teamwork, that synergy, as she puts it, how do you get them to do that during these times? Well, I think it is making sure that people are interdependent upon each other, that as much as you can get people to work together on projects, on whatever it may be, getting other people to, help someone else out, get something done, that ensures that people are still working together, that we're creating that synergy. And then also, again, gatherings, right? So getting people together on video comm, whatever it may be, whatever tool you're using, whatever method that you're utilizing, making sure that you're doing that. But again, to me, the key is the interdependence that people need to have upon each other in order to accomplish goals. And even if you have to, quote unquote, manufacture that, right? Create opportunities for people to work together during these times so that they can maintain that sense of synergy. Because when they're in a facility, then, they can walk from their office to another person's office and ask a question or whatever. So you have to maintain that, encourage them to communicate with each other offline or off group, and that will maintain, hopefully, the idea that you'll create the synergy. It's a challenge. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not easy, but again, it's possible, right? And so make sure that you're doing that. So again, guys, we're going to wrap this up, but I hope that helped you a little bit. Again, I know this is challenging times as a manager, being able to work with people remotely, but I encourage you to stay the course, stay engaged with your people, stay positive. This too shall pass, and we'll get through this, and we'll get through it together. So again, I want to thank everybody, my Management Pro Academy alumni. I see you guys. Really appreciate you jumping on. For those of you that joined us via Zoom, thank you very much. YouTube, you guys make sure and subscribe to our Management Pro Academy YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn, all the different social media. We're going to continue to bring you free content, free training like this throughout our time during this quarantine. I need something to do. Typically this time of year, I'd be on the road training in facilities and with our clients. But again, I need to make sure that our mission is moving forward, and that is that we continue to equip you for success. And so Until next time, I'm Brian Kaysen with the Management Pro Academy. God bless you, and we look forward to seeing you down the road. Bye-bye.